Podcast log from yet another Star Trek podcast. The only podcast where three good friends get together and rewatch the original run of Star Trek, the original series. I am your host for tonight, Majeed. And if I could choose someone to do the amazing race with me, it'd be this man, Drew. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really good. I think I'm still riding a high from this morning's workout. It's either that or a lack of sleep. I'm not sure which one is going to win.
I am well versed in the lack of sleep, but my workouts have been very inconsistent lately because of lack of sleep.
Well, you have to work out with me.
Yeah, if I suddenly wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning for no reason again, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. I mean, you've called and texted me at that time, so it wouldn't be that much of a stretch to meet me at the gym. So we'll keep it in mind.
Okay.
My other partner in podcast is here. The original transporter clone, Brad. Brad, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, sir. Thank you for asking. How about yourself?
It's going good. I'm happy you're back. And if anyone doesn't know, we recorded 2 episodes the week before. So Drew and I had the week off last week. Drew was editing. Love you, Drew. Thanks for working so hard. So I had the week off last week, pretty much, and I signed up for Rosetta Stone, and I took a Klingon course. So I know that you're well versed in Klingon, so I want to try this. Yeah, Kim, ja, yeah, yeah. I know the accent's off, but it roughly translates to "Hi, Brad. How are you?"
I feel like that was just you trying to clear your throat.
It does have some
right.
Very phlegmy
properties in it, doesn't it?
Wait, don't Klingons spit and cough on people when they talk angrily?
They do a lot of things when they're angry.
I listen, guys, I'm not sure if you are aware, but every time we are ready to record an episode, there's some kind of news dropping that day for Star Trek. So, not news. Well, there's some newsworthy things. Today, they dropped another 11 minutes of gameplay for the Star Trek Resurgence game. Mm-hmm. And apparently you play as 2 different characters and you swap in between intermittently, which sounds interesting. Did they announce if this thing's coming out this year?
I believe it is, but I don't have like an official date.
I cannot wait to buy it on sale at Black Friday.
They also dropped a trailer for Strange New Worlds, a new one, focusing on Cadet Uhura. I have not had an opportunity to watch it yet, but in the here, I'll drop a link your way so you can play it on mute.
Are they going to be like just kind of reusing some of the original series cast, or is it?
Yeah. While you were gone, or maybe we talked about this.
We talked about it briefly.
Kirk. Yeah, they recast Kirk, so there's a new Kirk
I know
in season
that
2.
for season 2, but like, is it that's the whole premise of the series? It's the original series except Strange New Worlds.
It's the original series before Kirk took the captain's share.
Okay. So I mean, I'm willing to wait and see where they go with it, but I'm all for them focusing on new characters and largely against them, just rehashing these roles. Ethan Peck did a pretty good job in, portraying Spock in Discovery, and he's going to be in this as well too. And at least there's some sort of a precedent with Spock serving on the Enterprise under Captain Pike, but there's no precedent that Uhura did that I'm aware of. And I don't know.
I'm willing to give it a shot, to your point, but I think I would prefer to have new characters and not just a reboot or reimagining or whatever it's going to be of like the same original stuff. I really I think we've gotten that a few times already, and I think I'm good with it right now. I would like to hear some new stories.
The other thing that they did, well, I mean, I think they're looking to tell a new story and give more background to Uhura, which is cool, but it comes off in my mind as feeling a little fan fiction-y. And like there's another character who's supposed to be a relative of Khan. I'm not really crazy about that. I don't know.
So a relative of Khan is going to be in the
yeah, as part of the Enterprise crew.
Main character. Interesting.
Yeah.
I hate that already.
Yeah.
Do you know who Khan is?
Yeah, he's the guy that screams out Khan. He screams out his own name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
At least you got the right movie.
Hey, you know what? I hate you guys because I can see you on video. Like I'm watching you lie to me, to my face, to my virtual face. You're lying to me.
Hold on.
That's a strike on both of you.
Hold on a second. Problem solved.
He just turned off his video. Oh, what a jerk! You still get a strike. I don't care.
I earned that one.
I'm man enough to lie to you to your face, so it's okay.
Yeah, you lie to me to my face via text message a lot. I wish I could put some of these up on screen about Brad lying to me, but maybe for another day. Maybe when I need to blackmail Brad. This week, guys, we watched What Are Little Girls Made Of? And man, what a horrible name for an episode title.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were looking at the list of episodes that were coming up, and you saw your name next to this one, and after seeing Naked Time as well, like you were a little confused.
Yeah,
not quite as excited as you were about Naked Time.
Yeah. I'm not totally on board with the naming conventions. I'm there's a possibility you did this to me on purpose.
There's a possibility, but I didn't. So, you're welcome.
All right, I look into those big brown eyes, and I know you're not lying to me.
I'm gonna raise my eyebrows to you, sir.
So this week, the crew of the Enterprise traveled to ice planet XO3 in search of Dr. Roger Korby, a scientist and the former fiance of Nurse Chapel. Kirk attempts to level with Chapel by not getting her hopes up, but it's immediately proven wrong when Korby contacts the ship and asks Kirk and Chapel to beam down. Once on the planet, no one shows up. And if we know anything from this show, that's not the best way to start off a mission. So Kirk is like, you know what? Send me some red shirts to die for me just in case. Just send some red shirts.
I feel like this is a sense of repetitiveness that's going to be occurring in the show. Just a theory. Just a theory.
This is the first exposure to true red shirts I think you've had at this point too, right?
If I remember correctly, yeah. I think this is like the true red shirt cliche.
The start of something beautiful.
Yeah. So who they have beamed down? They had red shirt Matthews and was it Brown? What's his name?
I
There was
they had names.
There was like another guy named Brown that was in there, but not.
Rayburn and Matthews.
Rayburn. Okay.
Not
Only
Ray-Ban?
thing I think.
No, not Ray-Ban.
So not the sunglasses.
No, he doesn't hack your Instagram either.
Look, the only thing I could think of when Matthews showed up, he's like, "Hey, come with me, Matthews." I'm like, "Oh my god, that guy looks like Will Ferrell." I'm like, how'd they do this? Like, it's this de-aging technology.
It does look a little bit like Will Ferrell. Wow.
Yeah. So, on the planet's surface, they meet Brown, Dr. Brown. Doc Brown? Back to the Future? Huh? Inspiration? So they meet Dr. Brown, who is apparently Korby's assistant. And he greets Kirk, he greets Chapel, and distracts them as the huge and menacing Lurch kills both the red shirts.
Lurch.
That
Yeah.
was actually Lurch.
Well, is that actually Lurch?
The guy who plays Lurch, that was actually him.
All right. All right. So before we go on, I just want to, because it's been bugging me for a while. I want to get pretty real with you guys. So just whatever answer you give me, I believe you. All right, here we go. Do you guys believe that Lurch or Ruck had bigger shoulders than me?
I'm gonna go with no, Majeed. He
All
did
right.
not.
He's like literally twice your size.
So he had bigger shoulders than me?
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I walked into this. I said I would accept their answer.
But he also had bigger calves than me.
That's impossible.
Well, no, it isn't, because he did.
That's movie magic, though.
Dude, the dude's big, dude. 6'9".
Yeah. By the way, they called him Ruck. Ruck is his name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, the Ruck. What are you doing, the Ruck? That's... The Ruck. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm not the only one that heard that.
I did too.
Okay, good. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way. That's impossible.
If Ruck called Kirk a jabroni, it would have been all over.
Well, you know what? When he picked up Kirk partway through the episode, I actually expect him to do a rock bottom.
Oh my God, he was tossing him around like it was nothing.
He tossed him around like a rented mule's redheaded stepchild. Kirk gets abused in every single episode, and I love it.
He does. He does.
I don't think he tore his shirt though. Not this one.
No,
but he was.
He got his shirt taken off.
Yeah, he was shirtless.
Yeah, he was shirtless and pantsless,
and technically twice in the same scene, because there were two of them. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Sorry, I get excited.
So Doc Brown brings Kirk and Chapel into a cavern where they meet Andrea and Korby. After Chapel and Korby do a little hanky-panky, Brown pulls a weapon on Kirk. Andrea attempts to take Kirk's phaser but fails, and then Kirk ends up shooting Brown with his phaser. Lurch, aka the Ruck, shows up and again pins Kirk against the wall like the redheaded stepchild. We find out that Brown is dead and was actually an android. Cue dramatic music. Korby explains that he found the Ruck among the ruins of the ice planet when he arrived, and with his help, learned how to make androids of his own.
I feel like you're struggling not saying rock.
That's another try. That's another demerit.
You're off to a great start today.
Yeah, Brad, you are killing it.
Well, hey, you know what? The demerit, at least the first one, was both of us true.
True.
Yeah, but Drew can break even. You
still have
you are at a running negative.
Still have time, huh?
So Korby proves that he can actually make robots, make androids, by strapping Kirk butt ass naked to a revolving table to make a sexy robot Kirk.
As opposed to just a sexy Kirk.
Well, yeah. I mean, sexy android Kirk. So every android that was made, or every person on this planet, has matching uniforms, right? We can all be in agreement with this.
Mm-hmm.
They all have matching color schemes.
Mm-hmm. Some have less fabric than others, apparently.
Yeah. Andrea, they were like, you know what? I guess we can give her the same outfit, but let's give her less clothes. And immediately that reminded me of those older memes about female armor in RPG video games.
Yeah, that's exactly where my mind went to. I was like, yeah, you know what? Less is better. Like, you can just like hit the actual parts of the fabric. They'll be fine.
Right. Protect the parts that mean anything. I was in poor taste. Boo on you, Gene Roddenberry. Boo.
That was
rest in peace.
one of the immediate things that I thought of. It was like, yep, this is Gene's fantasy.
I'm trying not to like kind of keep rehashing that because I feel like.
Oh no, I won't. I promise.
I feel like me in particular, I've kind of like really just beat that horse dead. But
yeah, just give me 2 more. I think I have 2 more for this episode. And
two more episodes in on you.
It's just. I'm not saying it's not justified.
Yeah,
because it absolutely is.
So, Korby explains to Kirk that he wants to create a super android civilization filled with replicants. I mean, I guess similar to Blade Runner. I've never seen the movie, so I'm assuming a lot of things.
That's not really. Just keep going. You're good.
No, you said. I mean, these are replicants, right? I mean, aren't there replicants in Blade Runner?
Oh, you mean like that? I thought you meant like they want to like replace humanity with androids in Blade Runner. I was like, no,
that's not what Blade Runner's about. The replicants is just the term that they used.
Yeah.
For the androids, it's not like they're cloning. Or at least not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Brad, maybe you can confirm or deny that. They're not like cloning anybody in Blade Runner.
No.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Robots. That's all it was.
Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I knew that because I didn't see the movie. It just got added to HBO Max. No, it's on Netflix.
2049 or the original?
Both are on Netflix. So
worth your time. Slow movies, very slow science fiction. But worth your time.
All right, you guys hear it first. Drew totally recommends watching Blade Runner.
I do. I'll stand by that.
I second that.
And 2049 is excellent too.
We're good, Brad. We have Drew's seal of approval. We don't need yours too. Oh,
appreciate
it. I'll let you know. So obviously Kirk's not okay with having an entire civilization with replicants. So he tries to escape, but is taken away by the Ruck. Now, when he gets taken away, he does have a second chance to confront Korby. And after a little roughhousing between the two, it's revealed that Korby himself is an actual android.
What?
Yeah. Chapel is horrified at this revelation, causing her to reject Korby and possibly rethinking the last 20 minutes when she made out with Korby. Like, sight unseen. He makes an attempt to claim he's still the same Korby, but Chapel will not accept him. Korby, pushed to his breaking point, decides to end his own life along with Andrea. Wow.
And scene.
So I know we try to do the whole 2 sides of the coin. We try to talk about the positives. We try to talk about the negatives. Writing down points about this episode, I won't lie to you, buddy. I'm skewing more towards the negatives.
I have the first positive.
All right, so let's start off with you, buddy.
The first positive is we got the Ruck.
We got the Ruck. Is the Ruck's music?
Hold on. It just occurred to me that they are on a stone cold planet.
Oh! My man. Oh, what a lovely dad joke.
Yeah.
Well,
what
well
a lovely.
played.
That was. I will give you a golf clap for that.
Thank you.
That was great.
We know at least one dad that would be very proud of that.
Yes, yes, we do. But he doesn't watch wrestling, so it may just go over his head.
He won't get it. Just make a Star Wars reference; it'll even it out.
Brad, was that your only positive, man? Because that sucks. That sucks if that's the only one. I get it. Like I'm totally happy that we got the Ruck, but I was hoping you had some real positive about the episode.
No, there was really not much positive for me.
Oh man! All right, so I'm
we
gonna.
We got like Kirk half naked in the merry-go-round thing, and I was just like, I don't.
I guess that could be a positive.
Well, we did start to see the cliche of killing the red shirts. That was another positive.
Yeah.
Right. I will say one something that's pretty depressing is I think it was the Will Ferrell lookalike that fell into the canyon and he screamed. What a missed opportunity for the producers of the show to not include the Wilhelm scream.
I don't know if it was as widely used at that point in in TV. It might have just been strictly a movie thing.
Yeah, when did that start? That was in the
1951.
50s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1951 it was used as a standard. And it is an epic scream. If you want a good ringtone for emails or notifications, get the Wilhelm scream. This is what I do. It's what wakes me up to get to the gym in the morning.
It's free on Wikipedia. It's royalty free at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been around for a while.
That's your alarm that wakes you up?
Yeah.
How does your wife not kill you?
I think it's difficult for her. There's a lot to want to kill. You know what was interesting to me was how replicant Kirk passed the Turing test at the dinner table. He was talking with Chapel, and Chapel pushes her plate away. And she's like, hey, you can eat. And he's like, nope, androids don't eat. Mic drop. The entire time, she had no idea that he was an android and just having this completely, normal conversation. And that's what essentially the Turing test is, right? That's what, what was it? Deus Ex Machina taught us, that movie?
Yeah, I mean, so what are the questions in the Turing test?
Brad, when you passed the Turing test, what were the questions that you were asked?
Are you a human?
Right. Brad was asked to choose every image with a fire truck.
Identify what is a car.
I'm trying
now you got me looking up specifically what the questions are. I know what it is.
Me too. I mean, it's just trying to find a series of questions to determine whether or not it's a machine or a man. It doesn't. I guess there isn't a specific thing.
Yeah, the Turing test itself is just a process of, identifying artificial intelligence in a machine.
Right.
I mean, I guess the question is really was that robot Kirk actually alive, or was it just a Chinese room? So.
Yes.
I mean, he was pretty convincing, but
yeah,
obviously not quite. I mean, Spock saw through him with his.
So I think
Spock had to see
Kirk
through
did that. So I think Kirk did that on purpose.
Oh, 100%.
So
he absolutely did.
He emphasized that when he was doing the scan, it was emphasized on that portion of frustration towards Spock. So therefore he would outlast.
I don't think that was Kirk showing frustration towards Spock. I think that was Kirk planting a seed for the robot to pick up on. I don't think Kirk believes that at all. I think Kirk values Spock as his friend and doesn't feel that way about him, but he knew that Spock would know that. And he did that purposefully so that Spock would pick up on the red flag, which he did quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't come to the rescue until after everything was done.
Right. It could have easily turned into another fight scene where Spock backhands Kirk across the room, which would have been equally entertaining.
If this was Jim, I wouldn't be able to hit him in the face repeatedly.
Right. Oh, man. So during that conversation with Chapel and replicant Kirk at the table, and she pushes her food away, did you guys get the impression that maybe she could also be an android?
didn't she had like? Did we see her take any bites of it?
Nope. Nope. I think I'm pretty certain that she was caught up in the conversation, had none of the food, and then just pushes the tray away. And I'm like, oh,
are you sure?
Android.
Are you sure this isn't just like a 1960s subversion of like making women not want to eat?
Ugh. Maybe. I didn't go that far. I was just thinking that, oh, M. Night Shyamalan, here's your inspiration.
Right.
But he wasn't born for a few years.
Right. Majeed, I think you just started some grade A foundation for nice conspiracy theory there, buddy.
Do we have music for that?
No.
I'm sure we could find something.
Okay. Guys, the episode is so ridiculous. I'm sorry. I'm trying to think of some of the positives.
There weren't any. But what about Rook's massive strength? Like, how cartoonish was it?
Rook.
Well, how cartoonish was it every single time he like manhandled Kirk?
Yeah, that reminded me of Jaws from the James Bond films.
Yeah,
where he was just manhandling James Bond,
and then he has an off switch.
Do you think was Kirk on like a wire when that was happening?
He had to be.
Had to be, yeah.
Because he was flying all over the place.
Right. And we know William Shatner weighs more than 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, maybe not back then because he was toit.
He was.
He was so toit. So there's a part of the episode where Kirk takes Andrea hostage. And sorry, I'm trying to keep it together. So he takes Andrea hostage and all of a sudden does this bummy combat roll. He does a combat roll behind the table and then shoots Doc Brown.
Yeah.
It was the kind of combat roll that you do as a kid.
Yeah.
When you're playing soldiers in your living room with your cousin.
All I could picture is like every Dark Souls beam. Where it's just God. We're just rolling.
Yes. It was one of those fat rolls when you have way too much armor on.
Yeah.
It looks so painful.
There might be footage of me on film doing one of those rolls when I was a kid.
Let's can we find it?
Yeah. Me and my buddy Dave, we used to make home movies when we were growing up, and we were trying to do this action movie, and I'm in his backyard. And there's supposed to be a sniper up on this like deck far away shooting down at us. The sniper was 10 feet away, but up on a deck on the second floor of a house, right?
Perfect vantage.
Perfect vantage. And not completely, you can't see that, right? Completely invisible to the naked eye, 10 feet away. So I did a dive roll and like came up and tried to shoot at him. And yeah, it was pretty bad.
I wonder if I can one up you just a little bit.
Please do.
We went paintballing back when I was almost at my heaviest.
Yeah.
And it's a pain in the butt to try and get on the gear and to see, but to be as immobile as I was, not having much, in the way of stamina, strength.
Yeah.
Trying to do a semi cartwheel combat roll behind the log and getting my rear end just shot up with paintballs. The other team described it as, and I quote, like you were stuck in slow motion.
I was gonna say I can see this. It's like the Matrix lobby scene, all in slow motion. But you
except the bullets are just going really fast,
and
right.
Everything is just like paint everywhere.
Yeah. That I've never told that story to anyone, so let's keep it between us
and the rest of the world.
You, me, and the listeners.
Right, you, me, and the rest of the listeners.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome. So I did a little research. I usually do now that I watch the episodes and I'm hosting. I do a little research because the outfit that Andrea was wearing, it was shocking, right? And having her just the doors whoosh open as she comes with barely there fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, man, all right. So we discussed last week that this was in fact a Gene Roddenberry approved story. Like he must have had final cut on the script or something. He had the final say.
Right.
So I went looking for information on when more women started to be involved with Star Trek. So the first female director of a Star Trek TV show was back in 1989.
Had to have been TNG then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
What episode?
Her name was Gabrielle Beaumont.
Oh yeah.
And she directed the episode Booby Trap.
Oh, that's a great episode.
Yeah. Season 3, episode 9.
That's a really good episode.
Yeah. And the original series was in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it took us a very long time to kind of get to where we are, which is fantastic. And then I said, okay, well, that's great. There was also supposed to be a female director for Star Trek 4.
Mm-hmm.
For the Kelvin timeline. There's supposed to be a female director. She eventually dropped out. So we're still waiting on a female director for the films.
We do have a number of female directors and producers on the new series, though.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very diverse production crew as well as cast for all of them. Picard, Discovery, even Lower Decks. All of that. So in those terms, I think you've definitely come a long way. But not to downplay anything, but you also had some people that were involved in the production of the original series that were using pen names. DC Fontana.
DC Fontana. Yeah, DC Fontana. She was the first woman to serve as a writer. She served on Charlie X.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she served as Charlie X. She didn't get the credit. She didn't get the writing credit. But she adapted the story from Gene Roddenberry's one sentence, "What if Charlie got powers?" Mm-hmm. Something like that. What if Charlie got powers for a day?
And it's, we joke around a lot about Gene's horn-doggedness, but he did a lot, I think, for women and minorities, in the original series. And maybe it's not all, up front. Somebody like DC Fontana, if she wasn't using a pen name, she wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think that was a Hollywood thing more than a Star Trek thing,
Yeah. Yeah. Sadly, DC Fontana passed away in 2008, I believe.
Yeah, but she was involved with Star Trek all the way up until her passing.
Yeah. Yeah. She was involved a lot within TNG as well.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, I want to say this is probably a very proud moment for me. It is now officially a time where Majeed has surpassed my Trek trivia and has grown off to be a true nerd. And I want to say, Majeed, I'm very proud of you.
Our little boy has grown his own wings. Or should we say he grew his own warp nacelles?
I mean, the way I know it is because I'm just listening to this conversation and I'm just like, man, what a bunch of nerds.
Yeah, but you're also jet lagged. Everything we say to you right now is like, oh god. I'm not sure if you guys are patronizing me or not. With Brad, it's kind of tricky. So I'm just gonna take it as that, Brad. Thank you.
It's from the deepest, most darkest, bottomest of my heart.
Is this a ruse? Are you trying to get demerits removed from your record?
No deception, sir.
Okay. All right. I believe you. And you're not getting a demerit removed. Just so we're on the same page.
Oh, I'm perfectly fine. I need to try to increase the number.
Oh God, I forget. You're going for gold, aren't you?
Man, if I don't get the highest score in each episode, then it's not worth playing. Drew's just shaking his head like, yeah, I get the video game reference.
Yeah, I totally get the video game reference too, but the viewers may not. So why don't you explain it to them?
High score.
Mm-hmm.
Explained. Done.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Was that it?
You know it, sir.
Okay. Oh, Brad, listen. It's so fun with you guys. I love it. It makes it even better that I can see your reactions and how sick of me sometimes you are. It's fantastic. All right, so we've gone over the sexiness of shirtless Kirk and the Turing test, but Lurch. This is the first time I've seen Lurch outside of the Addams Family. If the listeners at home, or in the car, or at the gym, or at work, or in a meeting, aren't aware, this actor was in the Addams Family, the original Addams Family, which is a treat. And as I'm looking at pictures of him, I'm pretty sure he's wearing pads, so his shoulders aren't as big as mine. So win for me.
Which is what I said in the beginning. It's not as big as you.
I don't know. They didn't have that technology back in the 60s.
They didn't have padding back in the 60s?
No.
or makeup. There's no makeup.
Oh, there's no makeup.
I mean, he's wearing tons of makeup, but they definitely didn't have shoulder pads.
Oh, man. Drew's just trying to hurt me.
Just natural shoulders here, baby.
What you guys thought of Lurch's performance outside of Addams Family?
I think, I actually really enjoyed it, man, because like I'm a huge classic TV style. I always love that type of stuff. He's probably like one of the more noticeable characters for me, thinking about like how I grew up, the Addams Family, the Munsters, things like that, and it was kind of like a little treat, a little Easter egg.
All right, that's nice. I mean, and you know what? I think this is the first time that he spoke in sentences, right? Because Lurch never spoke in complete sentences.
Correct, yeah.
It was mostly, you rang.
Yeah, I mean, I never really watched a ton of the Addams Family when I was younger, but I've certainly seen it. And, it was kind of cool seeing a similar yet different type of character with, a little bit more to it, He certainly stood out. Like, back then there weren't a lot of people that were that height. So somebody that's, naturally 6'9" standing next to William Shatner, who, I don't think he's all that short. It's.
I have to admit though, with like the episodes we've seen previously to this point, his appearance just threw me off into a point where I was not expecting it.
Yeah.
In any sense. It was just like I'm expecting some sort of ice monster, maybe some sort of robot like thing, but then we see him, and that's not what I expected in a robot.
Mm-hmm. So just really quick, Lurch is what, however tall he is, 6 something, right? 6'9",
6'9",
I think. Okay, so maybe an inch shorter than Drew. William Shatner. William Shatner is listed at 5'10", but I mean, this is Wikipedia. This is IMDb.
Well,
William Shatner.
He has a full foot on him, didn't he?
Yeah.
No, William Shatner is most likely like 5'2", right? I mean, people lie on resumes all the time.
The real height of Shatner.
Right.
Yeah.
People lie all the time. Shatner, please don't hurt me. I have to speak the truth.
He's gonna sue your ass.
But we can always talk about it when he comes on the podcast.
I would just like to state for the record that the views and opinions of Majeed do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the rest of the podcast.
I concur.
Oh my. All right, you guys left me out to dry. That's lovely.
Yep.
That's kind of how we do it.
All right. Another ridiculous thing, other than the Ruck being, strong as hell. Guys, real life Kirk seduced an android. he seduced an android.
Yeah.
He got Andrea to.
He logically confused her to make out with him.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous. And
I was like, I know we all horn dog Roddenberry, but it was like, what if it was like Kirk being like, I want to make out with her.
Yeah, no, I could have totally been it too. I could have just been.
I don't know, man. Like, this is the first time though I was like truly smitten with a guest star on this show.
Woo!
Yeah.
Oh man, it's the AT&T girl all over again.
We don't talk about that here.
If you want to give Brad a demerit,
yeah, can I do
ahead.
that? Can I take one of my demerits and give it to him?
No, yours are not transferable.
Why not?
Oh,
I was having a full like moment of confession here, and
I'm sorry, buddy. This is a safe place.
But I think I kind of get what you're saying. A fairly attractive woman shows up. I particularly prefer her over Mud's women.
Yeah.
I don't. Green dress girl, Mud's woman, for the win.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll take Andrea though.
Think about brunettes. Yeah, well, you guys can fight over her, and he has bigger calves than you, so good luck.
we can do a Spock Kirk fight.
Right? Where
you'll be Spock. You just manhandle me. It's okay.
Right. Secretly, Brad loves it. He's like, keep hitting me.
But hey, I think to me, this is thinking about the previous episodes. Though it's a bit of a change of what we've actually seen so far.
Yeah.
The story is, for the to me is a bit of a different pace, different way they were going for things. There were a few things I kind of expected, things to pop up, like they're on an ice planet, they're gonna freeze to death or something. But no, that didn't show up.
Yeah, they beamed down to the planet in no protective gear.
Yeah.
No, and Nurse Chapel was like wearing short or her skirt and short sleeves. And I was like, what about if it was cold? Don't you need some sort of protective coat?
Well, I guess they were like in the cave, so it's a
cave is so much warmer.
Yeah, I guess. It's kind of interesting that you bring up like this lack of attention to detail, because like looking at the production cycle of this one, up to this point, we've been talking about these episodes that were produced earlier on and before they were released, right? Episodes when Where No Man Has Gone Before was like the second episode to be produced, but it was like the third or fourth to air. This one was the opposite way around. This was produced 10th and released 7th.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of a little jarring, and I'm wondering if they were already kind of hitting their mid-season slump.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
And it's pretty early. I'm hoping that this doesn't, kind of foreshadow what's to come.
I hope it. See, like, to me, I'm kind of hoping it does foreshadow, but in a different way. More of like we get different stories. I think having like almost back-to-back God complex episodes, that kind of like threw me off in a sense where the lack of inhibition episodes, where inhibitions kind of went out the window. And having a different change in pace, I'm looking forward to having potentially more diverse stories, more interactions.
I mean, how did you feel about this one then in comparison to what we've seen? Because this is kind of a different look. This wasn't a God story or a lack of inhibition story,
I enjoyed it for what it was.
Okay. This is the second time we've gotten another double Kirk, though.
That's true. That is true. That's a fair point.
That is fair. Very fair. Which wasn't like, it was like the last episode, or is it the one before that?
The one before, Enemy Within.
One before that, the Enemy Within.
Near back-to-back double Kirk episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think
Kirk eye banging Kirk.
Yeah. Well, clearly Robot Kirk was like, I'm a sexy bitch. That's the whole attitude he had.
I mean, technically, evil transporter Kirk was also like, I'm a sexy man. Look at me.
We don't talk about that Kirk. That Kirk is evil.
That Kirk was really evil.
And you know it because he had the eyeliner on.
Oh yeah. Didn't Kirk didn't Robot Kirk have eyeliner on?
I don't think so.
No, he was just. It looked like that when he was
maybe some eyeshadow.
Real Kirk. Maybe.
I
Aren't they the same thing? Eyeliner and eyeshadow, aren't they the same thing?
I don't
think so
either, so I don't know.
I mean,
eyeshadow
concealer.
I think eyeshadow goes like underneath your eyes and on your eyelid, whereas the eyeliner goes like on the edge of the lid.
Somebody call one of our wives.
Well,
get an answer.
No. No, then she's gonna want to hop on and record with us and talk about Yoda.
No, more like we'll just get called nerds and they get laughed at.
Yeah, no, this may be the straw that breaks the camel's marriage. So just another. I promise you, this will be my last ridiculous thing I'm going to point out about the episode. But when Korby and Andrea and Kirk and Chapel were talking, and Chapel says, "Hey, did you really build a geisha, a love robot?" The conversation was basically like, "Hey, are you banging this thing?" And Korby's response is, "Well, I mean, there's no emotion behind it." He didn't say no. He wasn't disagreeing to banging the robot, was he?
Wasn't denying.
It was the implication.
Right. All he said was, "Well, she'll do whatever I tell her to." I'm like, ugh, buddy, were you that lonely down there? Yeah.
So I guess that leads to other questions now. Is that in the beginning they state that 2 other search parties attempted to find him and they couldn't.
That's because they all fell down the pit.
Cue the Wilhelm scream.
They didn't say they died. They just said they failed to find him. And so does that mean like he just didn't want to, for some reason, contact anybody until now because he wasn't ready with his geisha robot?
I can't focus on your question because of Drew's scream. It wasn't a Wilhelm scream. It was Drew getting stabbed.
Wow!
It's such a ridiculous scream.
Is that my bad Roberto?
Oh my god, it was so. I'm sorry, Brad. Like everything that you just said,
it's fine.
Drew just took the wind out of it, buddy.
Can I give you a demerit now?
Yeah. No, I deserve it because
I'm giving you a demerit now.
My cheeks hurt from listen, my cheeks hurt from laughing so hard. Drew has a horrible scream.
I'm really bad at impressions too. So.
Oh my god! If this were one of those '80s movies where Drew is lost in the woods, gets attacked by the monster, that's it. Do it again, buddy.
Ah!
I don't think anybody wants to hear that.
Oh man.
That was loud for even me, Drew.
Oh man.
I'm sorry, it was a little close to the mic.
Oh, so what was Korby doing? I'm certain that Korby was taking those folks and using them as material. Because remember, Andrea had lifelike skin.
So Soylent Green?
It's made of people.
So I totally get that reference. But I don't think that...
It's a movie from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And people are buying this thing called Soylent Green, or they're given Soylent Green, and it turns out it's made from people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like Sloppy Joe's.
What the
Where are you eating?
High school cafeterias.
Oh God.
Oh man.
I feel like that's like some sort of joke from Goosebumps.
Oh, what a great book series. Oh, R.L. Stein, we love you.
Now,
please
if
write
he
me
R.I.P.
wants to
some
join the
Stein.
podcast, I'm 100% okay with that.
He's still around?
I don't know. I just said it.
Yeah, he's still around.
Don't say that like it's common knowledge. How dare you? I didn't know that. I don't know ages and math of things. Don't look at me that way. Anyway, all right. So before we wrap this up, is there anything else, anything ridiculous or otherwise that maybe we didn't cover yet, guys?
Can we talk about the stalactite that Kirk ripped off the ceiling of the cave?
So the giant rock schlong?
Yeah. The very same.
Oh, the veiny one. I was wondering what that was. a veiny piece of rock.
It's such a memeable picture.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't found memes of that before.
Well, I think maybe that's our homework. For the next
We should start changing that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, what was he gonna do with it? Like, was he trying to?
Obviously, sit on it.
Oh my god! It was like
Brad's like, I didn't even think about that.
Kirk was just like completely immobilized by Ruck.
The rock.
I'm sorry.
That whole scene though was kind of ridiculous, where he knows Ruck can like imitate somebody else's voice,
I know.
and he calls out as in he called out his chapel, I think it was.
Yeah.
He's like, Christine, is that you? And I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Come on, Ruck's chasing you. Why would you assume that's her?
What a dope. What a maroon.
Oh, I knew you were gonna say that. I love it.
Yeah, there's some memeable photos of him.
I didn't like the episode. I mean, we've gone over this, right? We're basically beating a dead Spock with a horse. I didn't like the episode.
You're beating. Hold on.
I'm just Spock with a horse.
I'm picturing this horse flailing around as it's being swung into an already dead Spock.
I was going through one analogy and I went and I thought of another and they somehow got combined. So you get what you get and you don't get upset.
Oh my god. It's wonderful.
So we've talked about it a lot. None of us like the episode. So let's just get into it. Let's rip the Band-Aid off. And let's hold up our cue cards. What do we rate the episode?
What score are little girls made of?
Oh, God.
I can tell you this much. They're not sugar, spice, and everything nice.
On a scale of 1 to 10, just on the title alone, it gets a 1. On the episode overall, we'll give it a 3. I'll give it a 3. What about you, Trill?
Yeah, this was not pretty. I was downright bored pretty much the entire time I was watching this, and it just really didn't hold my attention. It never grabbed my attention to begin with. If I were channel surfing, I would probably skip this. Just really not a fan of this episode at all. I like what they were trying to do, but they really just, I don't know. I think they just dropped the ball in the execution.
I love your consistency with how you rate these. You're like, okay, how would I rate this in a way of, okay, it's Sunday afternoon. I have my IPA in my hand and my Goldschlager, and I'm scrolling through TV.
Goldschlager?
I don't know what you drink.
I don't drink Goldschlager.
What about IPAs?
Yeah, sure.
Lagers?
Yeah, lagers are great.
That's the only beer I know. Goldschlagers,
but
lagers, and IPAs.
Well, Goldschlager is not a beer. It's a
hard alcohol.
Yeah,
drink.
and it has like
gold flakes in it.
Yeah.
And it's spicy.
I don't appreciate you guys mansplaining this to me. I don't drink alcohol like that. How dare you?
You don't drink alcohol like
at all.
That's fair. I mean, I'm training, so so
start with the pina coladas.
So GD,
God, I love pina
you're
coladas.
sitting on your sofa on a Sunday afternoon with your Fireball and your peach schnapps.
Fireball whiskey.
What is Pitbull doing on my couch?
his Midori sour or his sex on the beach.
Oh my god!
You know what's funny?
How
when
many
you started
umbrellas?
this, I'm like, listen. When you started that, I'm like, oh, he's gonna say protein shake, and you went into a different direction. So I love it.
I guess you could throw in the.
No, that's probably more accurate though, Drew. Like he would be sitting with the protein shake and drinking.
Yeah, which I've done before.
Well, I mean, you got to catch up to Ruck's shoulders, so.
the ruck.
Anyway,
Majeed, just skip leg day and you'll be one step closer.
So all that
Like
said, I really did not like this episode. I think I'm going to give this a 2.
Wow, that's the lowest one yet.
Yes, by far.
My goodness.
Well, by 2 points.
Well, still low.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad?
Man, I'm actually kind of blown away with like how poorly you guys are grading this episode. I like thinking about the story. It was not like the most original in a sense. Like I've seen things like this before in other science fiction type things. I wasn't overly entertained, but I didn't like. I wasn't entirely bored, so to speak, like you were, Drew. I actually felt it pretty easy to go through and keep watching. There's been plenty of other Star Trek episodes that I didn't really like. That I struggled to watch in other series. And the other thing too is like I didn't hate the episode. It wasn't a point where like the episode offended me. It didn't make it feel ridiculous. I think I may be a little too generous with this, but like I'm leaning at a 5.
5. All right.
Okay.
Because like
All right.
I think to me like when we had the conversation, I think it was like the first episode, and I was rating like the first episode like at a 1. And like I really disliked a lot of the attributes from the cage. The way the cage was, the way it was handled, like things actually bothered me in some of those mannerisms that didn't age well in time. And like to me it was, there were some things that could have been better, but nothing that really pushed it to that overboard limit where I would go below like the cage in that sense. I'm a little taken aback with how rough you guys are grading this one.
We don't talk about the cage.
No, you're right. I apologize. That was my bad.
Well, I think the difference is that with the cage, I was fascinated by what they were trying to do and where it ended up.
Yeah.
So like, just seeing like all the things as far as like even just the Enterprise that they hadn't ironed out yet, or the character of Spock and how he was portrayed, and just all these little things that we take for granted, even as early in as the second and third episode of the original series.
I can understand that, but I felt like with that episode, it felt more jumbled up. This episode, there was a little bit of that where like the robot Kirk went to the Enterprise, and that's where Spock identified him. But it wasn't to a point where it really like detracted from the story or really hurt it overall, or even the experience. I'm again, maybe I'm just being too generous, but yeah, I think it's a 5 for me.
Well, that's fine. I'm not downplaying what you're saying. I just I don't think that the things that you're giving it praise for are enough to reward it.
Okay.
In my opinion,
fair enough.
Just because, like, yes, it is a cohesive story and it's laid out better than the cage was.
We are all allowed to disagree.
Yeah, no, but I think it's a good point of debate, which is something that we don't do often on the show. We're usually pretty well grouped with our scores.
Yeah. I think to me this is probably one of the few episodes that I know I've been like a point above you guys or a point below or something, but I think this is like, to me, like I think back to our original conversation when we were talking about the cage, and you said that there's potentially areas that are really like episodes that are really bad, and I think maybe because it didn't offend me, that's why it's not going much below that. And don't take it as like anything like, oh, this is the episode that you need to go see. I feel like you don't, like, if you just happen to come across it, you probably are gonna skip that channel and go to the next one. But you know, if you're a fan and want to watch every single episode of Star Trek, and this is one of those episodes that you come across, to me, I feel like you're more likely to want to skip the cage than this one.
I just for the record too, I think that anybody that's watching Star Trek in order, whether it's this show or Next Gen or whatever, I believe they should watch every episode, because I think it's important to experience the lows so that the highs are much more rewarding. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
no, it makes sense.
I wouldn't discourage anybody from watching this.
No,
I think I would discourage them from watching it a second time.
Yeah.
But I think to the point though is like, if thinking about just watching the episode as is, I didn't feel at any point that I just like, I'm going to end this episode. I'm not even going to bother watching the rest of it. I can tell you this much though, with the first episode, The Cage, that happened to me a few times during the episodes that I was just like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So I think we've beaten this Spock horse well enough, and we can look forward to moving on from this this episode, where clearly no one decided, no one looked at this for quality control. So let's move on. Next week, we'll be moving on to episode 8, entitled Miri, not to be confused with Siri. But on this episode,
everybody's like, Siri just kind of like pops on right now.
is that how it works? Is Siri that vulnerable?
It can be, depending on the settings.
That's so bad. So next week we'll be watching Miri, which is the 8th episode released. The Enterprise discovers an Earth-like planet that was devastated by a horrific and degenerative disease and is now populated entirely by old children.
Benjamin Button?
Populated by old children.
Yeah, that sounds Benjamin Button.
Huh. I mean, that's basically what we are. We're old children.
That's what my wife calls me too.
Yeah, I'm a giant child. I have toys on my desk from Ghostbusters, so I'm an old child. I feel like we may like this episode. I mean, it can't be better than the episode we don't talk of.
The Cage.
You just said we don't talk about it. You know, it's fine. You know what? It's all right. So I can't wait. Thank you again, guys, for tuning in. Thank you guys for recording with me. Always a pleasure. Until next week, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
See you later.
Thanks for listening.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on March 29, 2022, and is hosted by Brad, Drew, and me, Majeed. As always, Romulan hostage negotiator Drew edits the episodes each week to make it sound good. Our episode synopsis is written by certified warp drive repair specialist Brad, and Majeed takes care of the artwork with additional art provided by George Ratau. Check him out on Fiverr. Our music, Warp Speed Into the Stars, was written and performed by William Grobelar Music. Be sure to check him out on SoundCloud. We'll have those links in the show notes. Would you like to chat with us on social media? I'm sure Brad would appreciate it. We're just about everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. at Yet Another ST Pod. Perhaps long-form electronic letters are more your style. And if that's the case, you could reach us at yetanothersTpod@gmail.com. Next week, we'll be watching Miri. Watch along with us on Paramount Plus or however you get your Star Trek content. Be sure to let us know what you think of the episode. Would you like to support the show? The best way to do so is to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe too. That goes a long way, and it also warms your crew's heart to see those ratings and reviews. Until next week, thanks again.